Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I'm currently headed, well, first of all, this is February 20th of 2023, and I'm headed to the yard to pick up my next load. I got into town last night, I don't know, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that, and normally I like to pick up then and then go to the castle or someplace and hang out for the night and then hit the road first thing in the morning. But when you're pulling these Airstreams, they don't want you picking up in the dark. So all of them have to be picked up in the daytime. So that's what I'm doing. Headed to the yard to pick up the next run. It's going to Spokane Valley, Washington. When I took the load, weather was looking really good. Didn't seem like it was going to be much of a problem to hop up to 90 and go across. Now it's looking less good. So this should be an adventure. So I decided to do a video on this run because this might be the first heavier weather that I've run into this year. I mean, I've run into some ice and snow and things like that, but we'll see how this goes. Some of the reports are looking pretty bad. Some of them are looking not so bad. So we'll just have to see as I get closer. I'll keep monitoring the weather and decide which direction I'm going to go. Right now,
in 1.25 miles, turn left on West County Road 1200 North.
It sounds like all of Wyoming is closed. I wasn't planning on going through Wyoming anyway. Like I said, I was planning on hopping up to 90, about Omaha, and then head north to 90, and then come across through Montana. So we'll just have to see how the weather pans out as we get going that direction. So I'm about 12 minutes away from pickup. Once I get picked up, then I'll check back in and let you know what we're doing. Good morning on day 2. I'm in Sioux City, Iowa, getting ready to cross into South Dakota. And I'm going up to Sioux Falls, where I'll catch 90 and then head west. The goal tonight is hopefully to make it at least to Rapid City. It's not a full 11 hours on a normal drive, but I think by the time I get to Sioux Falls, I'm going to start getting into the weather, so it might slow me down a little bit. Maybe not. We'll just have to see. The weather radar shows some snow happening up there. But so far, everything has been clear. It was cold last night. Back for sleeping, it was about, I don't know, 12 or 13 degrees last night. It's 20 degrees right now. So it's chilly. I'm just trying to outrun the storm. Kind of get as far west as I can before it really blows up, because the further west you go, the better the weather's going to be. It seems like all the reports are saying that the worst of the weather is going to be further east. I guess Minneapolis they're talking about 18 inches or 2 feet of snow in Minneapolis and things like that. So I'm trying to get as far west as I can to get to the tail end of it and hopefully stay out of the heavy snow. So we'll check in a little bit later once we start finding some weather. Getting into a little bit of snow in Sioux Falls. Trying to decide if I'm going to continue on up to Fargo and then take 94 to Billings, or if I'm just gonna hook a left on 90 and see how it goes. I just looked at a traffic camera for a wall, and the roads were clear there. but you got to go through some snow to get there, because I looked at traffic cameras around Sioux Falls here, and it looks like once I hit 90, then I'll have to deal with some snow on the road headed west until I drive out of it. Don't know what to do. Gonna have to stop and take another look at the weather. The way the snow goes across the road and all these patterns is kind of mesmerizing. It looks like water flowing across the road. Well, I'm past Murdo, South Dakota. I'm west of it. Here's the thing. I'm 62 miles to the Badlands, 131 to Rapid City, and you can see what the road conditions are like. So far, my plan is working the way that I wanted it to work. I stayed low, then cut up behind the massive part of the snowstorm. Now, I think I'm still going to run into some in Montana, but for this trip across here, I think my timing was okay, because I got into a little bit of snow at Sioux Falls, and that's really been it. And you can see out there, there's hardly any snow in the fields at all, so they haven't had a whole lot of snow here. There's like way more snow at my house than there is here. Well, here I sit in Moorcroft, Wyoming. I've been here all day because I didn't get up early enough yesterday to beat this part of the storm. I needed to make it to Montana and didn't. So here I sit, parked under this fuel pump, gas pump thing. It's been snowing all day, but I'm a little bit protected here. I haven't moved all day. Don't freak out. I'm not blocking any fuel pumps or anything like that. Let's take a look outside. All right, so down. Oh, there's snow on the window there. It's so that's that out there. See, there's no gas pumps, so I'm good. It's negative, I think it's -7 now, and currently the wind chill is at -20. Earlier today with higher wind, the wind chill got down to -24, I think, so it was a little chilly. So I should get back on the road tomorrow morning, hopefully. Hopefully they get the roads a little bit better tomorrow morning. They closed down the highway 90 from Gillette to the Montana border, and then amazingly 90 from the Montana border all the way to Billings was open with no problems. If Wyoming would have got on the roads and been taking care of the roads, then maybe I could have continued on today. But I came through the port, got my permit, and the lady there told me that the highway was closed past Gillette. So I stopped here, which is about 30 miles, maybe 20 miles from Gillette, and decided to hold up here, because if you've ever been to any of the truck stops where the highway's closed, it's a madhouse, because everybody drives to the end of it, then the highway's closed, then they get off and try to find a place to park. So it's always a nightmare. I pulled in here with plenty of room. There's semis parked in the back over there, or on the side, or whatever it is, and a couple of hot shotters and stuff like that. But there's really not a whole lot of people parked here. Everybody went down to Gillette, and Gillette, there's only one Pilot there that has 50 truck spots, so it's not a very big Pilot, and it's packed from what I hear. One of the guys came back from Gillette because he said it was just insane down there. He said they ran out of coffee and And they were running out of food and other stuff, so they came back this way and stopped here. So I've had a steady supply of coffee. The people in there have been great. In the coffee shop, whatever it is, about, I don't know, about 80% of the time I go in to get a cup of coffee, she says, have a nice day. So they've been really great here. I've wandered around on the inside and looked around. Driver's lounge is not super great in there, but they do have one. They do have showers here too. So hopefully I'll be down the road tomorrow morning and then make delivery on Friday instead of Thursday. That's just the way it goes. I did this favor load and I screwed myself by oversleeping yesterday. Lesson learned. It's kind of a technical problem thing. When the phone is plugged into the truck with the Apple Play, evidently the alarms don't sound or something, because it showed on my screen that the alarm was going off, but no noise was coming out. So I don't really know how to fix that. I guess I just have to plug my phone in a different way when I'm sleeping to keep it charged up so that so the alarms work. So tomorrow morning I'm doing that. So we'll check in tomorrow and see how it goes. Good morning on day 4 of this journey. What a difference a day makes. The road technically was open yesterday, but super sketchy. So I decided to sit for Wednesday, and now it's Thursday, and the roads are much better. There's some icy patches. I'm still in Wyoming, headed to Montana on 90, but this is a lot better than it was yesterday. Yesterday was tons of snow and icy patches on the road. Right now, right in front of me, the road is dry. But I have been going through some icy patches, so just taking it slow and steady. It's always better to be late to delivery or later than what you were planning than to get yourself in a jam and end up in a ditch or worse. So that's why I sat yesterday by choice, not because the road was closed, just because it was the safer option. Yeah, it was pretty boring, but at least I was in one piece. It is cold. It's negative 25 actual air temperature right now, not including whatever the wind chill is, although there's not much wind right now, but that's pretty chilly. You need to remember that at any time you could have some kind of problem, and you should have plenty of food and water in your truck at all times, no matter where you're going, really. But it's even more important when you're heading to some place that has some cold weather, where the roads might get shut down, or you might have to stop someplace where there's just no services. You should have dry foods, canned foods, whatever you can have in the truck to keep you alive for however long you got to sit. Peanut butter and jelly is great. Loaf of bread and a tub of peanut butter and tub of jelly, and that'll keep you going for a long time. Chips and nuts and canned fruit, canned soup, all that stuff will keep you alive if you have to stop for a long time. I was stopped at a truck stop where there was food, but I didn't really have to buy any food from the truck stop because I had plenty of supplies here in the truck. My milk froze because I left it in the bed of the truck. Stupid, but it thawed out. Bags of cereal are another good thing if you've got milk. So I'm rolling along, shooting for the Montana border. I have 11 hours to delivery, so I won't make that all the way today, but I'll be really close, and I'll be delivering tomorrow as long as the roads hold out. So I'll check in with you a little bit later. Well, made it into Montana, headed toward Billings. Roads are not fantastic, but at least they're travelable. Is that a word? There's patchy ice. Sometimes the road is bone dry. Sometimes the road is like this. And then I just came down a big hill that was all snow covered. So that was a little butt puckery, but all in all, not too bad. It's beautiful out here though, but it's cold. I don't want to be wandering around out there. Going through some mountains here in Montana. I'm on 90, and I'm coming up on Missoula. That's where I'm going to be stopping for the night. The sun will be down by the time I get there, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. It's the last, from what I can tell, decent truck stop. It's a Love's. Get in there, get a shower, and that kind of stuff. And then there'll be the big push for delivery tomorrow. So let's see, we'll be, I don't know, about, yeah, it'll put me about 2.5, 3 hours to delivery. So not quite as far as I would like to be, but I'm not going to be driving in this stuff at night, in the mountains, in the snow. Right now the road's pretty good, but I've already seen it change. Like come to the top of a hill and then it's completely different going down the hill. So I'm going to go ahead and stop a little short and call it a night, and that will put me at about, I don't know, 600 and something miles for the day, but that'll be okay. So we will check in later. So we're at the Love's in Missoula, Montana. Just finished having chicken Alfredo for dinner, and now we're gonna go in there and get a shower. I've already checked in with the app, so grab my bag and let's go. And now it's time for nighty night. See you in the morning. Well, it's sunrise on day 5. Plan was to have this thing delivered yesterday, but you know, weather changes things. So I'm getting ready to cross into Idaho. So I got to stop at the port in Montana to get my permit for Idaho, even though I only have to go a little chunk across Idaho. And then I'll get over there to Washington and get delivered today. So I don't know what the terrain looks like beyond this point. So if we find something interesting, we'll check back in later with that. Now, once you get past Missoula, Montana, the terrain changes and you start following this canyon through the mountains here. There's not a whole lot of steep up and down, but there is a lot of going up and down. But there's a lot of these curves. Some of them are pretty tight. They say 45 miles an hour and they mean it. So just take it easy as you're coming through this canyon on 90 west of Missoula, and you'll be fine. Slow and steady, get there safe. So I'm here at the last way station in Montana. It's just outside of Hogan or whatever on 90. And this is where you get your Idaho permit. And then you stick it in your window right here on the passenger side. Then you go into Idaho and you're good. Remember, for Idaho, you have to have your permit before you get into Idaho. So make sure that you stop here if you're coming through Montana. Crossing over the top of Lookout Pass. These Firestone Destination XT tires have been doing great on this trip. But again, slow and steady. And now we got to do the big downhill. Well, that was about 50 pounds of butt pucker, but we made it down okay. So I came out of Montana where the roads were clear and dry, crossed into Wyoming, and Wyoming is living up to the reputation of they don't care about the roads. It's not been good across this section of Wyoming. I'm not on 80, I'm on 90. But 90 in Wyoming was beautiful. Dry, cruise control weather. Not so much in Wyoming. Anyway, I got delivered yesterday man, it was beautiful there. I delivered to the Spokane Airstream Adventures in Spokane Valley, and then came back and saw that lake and mountains in the background and all that, and it was just absolutely stunning. The landscape out there is really awesome. This is not too much fun right now. So this is Spearfish Canyon in Spearfish, South Dakota. It's part of the Black Hills National Forest. I've never gone down through here in the winter. I've only been down here in the summertime, and it's beautiful in the summertime, and it's pretty stunning in the wintertime also. There's a waterfall down here called Bridal Falls, and I'm going to go down there and see what it looks like in the wintertime, see if it's just a big frozen block or if nothing's coming down, or maybe there's water flowing, I don't know. Down in the river down there, there is nothing. I don't see any water there, so we're gonna kind of cruise along and see what we find in the canyon. So Bridal Falls is completely frozen. but it still looks cool. You got to come down here in the summertime and see this. Actually, in the kind of the spring, it's really rushing. I am cruising across South Dakota. It is 24 degrees out. Oh, it warmed up 1 degree. And I am tired of winter. Winter needs to be over. I think we're all feeling that same way. So I sent a text message to my dispatcher and I said, dude, negative 25 sucks. It's bullshit. Find me someplace warm. So I got a message back. How about Fort Myers, Florida? I'm there. So all this snow, no more snow. I'll be picking up day after tomorrow. Or no, I'll be picking up tomorrow and headed to Fort Myers, Florida, where I will have some adventures down there. Gonna catch me an alligator, gonna catch me one of them big 12-foot long pythons. I don't know. I am gonna take a little cruise down by the Everglades and take a peek at what kind of animals I can see down there. But that'll be a different video. I'm going to end this video here and just remind everybody that when you're driving pretty much anywhere, it doesn't matter. I mean, I went to Washington State, but it doesn't matter if you're going to Southern California. Right now, they've got blizzard warnings for LA County, which is crazy. But you could run into the same stuff in New Mexico, in Arizona, northern Texas. I mean, they even had snow down in central Texas this past winter several times. So I just want to remind you to go prepared. Make sure that you have plenty of food, plenty of water, and plenty of fuel. You never know when you're going to get stopped and have to sit for a period of time. You just don't know. I mean, there are apps. You can look at the apps and you can see what the road conditions are. But sometimes you just get there and it's just all ice, and the apps haven't shown it yet. So you got to either stop or get off the road, or you end up like my buddy Sean. They opened up 80 for just long enough for it to have a 40-car pileup, and he was stuck on the highway because there were no exits. They couldn't get him off the exit. There were no turnarounds. They were just stuck there. I was talking to him at like noon, and he had been sitting on the highway since 3:30 the previous day in the afternoon. So he'd been almost 24 hours just sitting on the highway because they couldn't get the vehicles off the highway. He was loaded. I don't know if they could get the vehicles that didn't have trailers turned around and something figured out. I didn't catch all that information, but he had sat there for, I don't know, something like 15 or 20 hours just sitting on the highway. So have lots of food, some canned food, some dry food, you know, cereal, nuts, chips, things like that. Stuff you can pack under your bag. I like to have canned food like soups, stews, you know, the Denny Moore stews, or they've got chicken and dumplings, and I mean, there's lots that you could throw in your bag or throw under the bed or somewhere, just to give you some food in case you get stuck someplace where there's not food. In Gillette, where I was at, I was about maybe 20 minutes or a half hour east of Gillette. They had closed the highway down in Gillette, and the Gillette truck stop ran out of coffee and all kinds of different foods and snacks and stuff like that. I mean, obviously they probably had distilled chips and things like that, but as far as hot food goes, wasn't happening because everybody went all the way to Gillette and then had to get off. So they just jammed the one truck stop that was there. I stopped short at a different little truck stop and was fine. I had to sit there for one day, and then they opened the highway back up. So go prepared, get lots of stuff in your truck, and keep yourself safe out there. Make sure you got fuel in your generator. Make sure you got fuel in the truck. If you've got to idle for 24 hours and you're almost out of fuel, that's not going to be good. So make sure you stay topped off in the wintertime. You stay topped off with all your food. Make sure you have lots of water, something to drink. You just never know. So anyway, stay safe out there. Have safe travels, and I hope to see you on the road.